Welcome to my tutorial on how to do a mirror stamping technique. We're going to be using a retired stamping set called Fitting Occasion, and I'm going to be using the coffee mug from this. But this can be done with any small or large stamp, so that's the one we're going to use today to create this happy card. And to start off, I'm going to need my card base, which I'm using Whisper White. I've just cut an 8.5 and 11 sheet of paper in half. I'm going to fold it in half, and this is going to be my card base. I also have from the Designer Series paper called Cherry on Top. Love this paper. It's so fun, and it's double-sided, perfect for card making. It comes in a 6x6 size, and I've cut this particular one down to be 3 inches by 4 1/4. So it fits nicely on the base of my card, and then a 4 1/4 inch long by 3/4 inch wide strip from a different set of paper. You're going to need, from your Whisper White cardstock, you're going to need a 1.5 by 1.5 inch piece of square of white, and then a 2 by 2 square of, I'm using Tip Top Taupe today. You'll also need the bow builder punch, and I'm using 2 stamp pads. I'm using Tip Top Taupe and Watermelon Wonder. In addition to that, you're going to need, to do your mirror stamping, you're going to need a clear cellophane card sleeve that you'll see a lot of. You can find this on the stamping catalog, but you'll see a lot of designer cards that come housed in this. You could also use a scrap piece if you have packaging as well. But this is what we're going to use to do our mirror stamping. So we're going to start out by grabbing our square and our Tip Top Taupe. We're going to load our stamp, and I like to start off by doing my mirror stamping first. So I'm going to take my clear piece of cellophane, and I'm going to stamp on this. Now, it takes a firm hand, but not too firm because it will slide. It's a slick surface. So I just press and hold just to get that ink to transfer, and you'll see it. It's not going to be a complete image, which is why we're going to need our blender pen. So I'm going to take this and turn it over, situate my mug where I want it, and with a firm press, kind of like if you're doing a thumbprint, I'm just going to kind of roll my thumb around onto that and then lightly lift it off, and you'll see I've transferred the image. So now I'm going to stamp my mate next to it here, and you'll notice it's not quite filled in. So now I'm going to take my blender pen, and I've already gone ahead and taken my stamp pad and pressed it slightly in the middle to get some of the ink to transfer onto the lid. And I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm going to lift up some of this ink here, and I'm just going to go and fill in my coffee mug to make it look similar to the one I just stamped. And it's going to look slightly different, but close enough. Okay, so now I'm going to fill in my heart. And what I've done for this one is, again, just lightly pressed my stamp pad to get some of the ink to transfer. I'm going to pick up some of that Watermelon Wonder and fill in my heart. Now, for this example right here, I've taken it and I've done a couple dots. So you can do swirls, you could do whatever pattern you want. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to take my bow builder punch, and using my Cherry on Top designer paper, I'm going to cut out my bow. Now I used Watermelon Wonder on this example, but just so you can see, You don't need that much paper, and you need 2 punches to make a bow. And just punches out like that. Okay, so I have the bow already punched out, and I'll show you how I put my bow together. This bow builder punch does punch out these little tails that go onto your bow. I've decided not to use that, but it's your preference. You can do whatever you want. So I just fold these 2 ends. If you wanted to, you could take your bone folder and curl it and give the card 3 dimensions, but I figure if I'm going to be mailing this, it's going to get smushed down anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and flatten it. So I take my Tombow glue, and I like to put a little glue just on one side, on the inside there, and kind of tap it together, and then I'm going to sandwich them together like that. I know there's different ways of putting this together, but that's how I've been able to find consistently, and so that I don't get glue absolutely all over the place. So then I'm going to take my centerpiece here, and I like to fold it in 3. Probably quite hard to see because this is small. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put glue on my bow instead of that real small piece on either side here. Then I'm going to take my centerpiece and glue that on. Now, while this is setting up and drying so I can glue it onto my card, I'm going to glue the rest onto here. So I'm going to take my Cherry on Top Designer Series paper, and I love it in that you can choose whatever side you want. So I'm going to glue that one down first. And I'm not really a pattern person, so this is kind of fun for me, a little out of my box, my wheelhouse, to kind of play with pattern and really put it all together. So put that on like that. I'm going to take my fun strip here, add a little more crazy color and pattern. Add that to there. Then I can take my, and you'll notice I actually did the back of that and I put happy on it. So you can add whatever sentiment you want. I'm going to actually use this other side here, the plain side. Like that. And I've glued it upside down, but that's okay because I haven't glued it on yet. There we go. And if I wanted to, I could go in and add a sentiment. Add a little glue to that. I like to glue it on crooked at an angle, but if you wanted to, you could glue it straight. But this way it gives room for your bow, which I'm going to put just a little dot of glue down there and add my, whoop, don't want to put it on the wrong side. Get that glue off. And that's okay, because I can go back and remove that glue plus it dries. Okay, there you go. So there's your happy little coffee mug card using mirror stamping. You can find all the instructions, or I'm sorry, all the ingredients for this particular card on my blog at myredtruck.blogspot.com. Thank you so much for joining me.